Days.
Speaking of Jameis, Cleveland Brown, y'all think he gets that starting job? The way Deshaun's been lately, I think with Jameis's consistency,
I
I
didn't
don't
see
know how
that.
long it'll take, but I think he can get that. What do you think, James?
That too much money. Like Deshaun is guaranteed bread. Like the only way now, because again, I joke with people. Salary again, NFL cap, my NFL hat. Salary cap is a fictional number that only exists when they want it to. They figured out ways now that they'll say it's a bonus, or like they'll figure out how to give you what's guaranteed to you so that they don't have to take that hit. But right now, Deshaun just is too much accounted for to the cap for them to not utilize him unless he gets hurt. So I think it's BS the way Jameis has been treated. I get what Tampa did. You get a chance. I'm taking Tom Brady over Jameis every day and all day too. But you don't go 31. Like he threw 30 interceptions. He also threw 32 touchdowns, if I remember correctly. Like that's a lot. It's a lot of interceptions. A lot of time. And those interceptions weren't like they have a video of 16 of those interceptions being just the most unlucky interceptions that ever happened in your life. Like balls batted right to the other defense. And, I think if somebody would have given him a true chance, I think he'd be fine. And I think it's with the power of the media. Like everybody tries to make you dislike this guy because he's awkward. But every teammate that he's ever had absolutely adores Jameis Winston. The people in New Orleans absolutely adore Jameis. Jameis is why I think you don't put as much emphasis on your quarterback being the leader of your team. Leaders naturally show up, and they can be in any position. And it's not that Jameis isn't a leader. Jameis just ain't the guy that I want talking all the time. Because Jameis is country, and I also think, in my opinion, I think he has Asperger's. And if you look at him, he's socially awkward, but he is he's a guy who got accepted into Stanford. The kid is brilliant, and the kid knows football. It's just I don't necessarily want him giving the speech, the post-game speech. Like I might want him listening and encouraging it, but I don't want him talking. That's the only thing I'll say about James.
Damn neighbors riding around on his dirt bike. But no, I agree. That ACL in New Orleans, I mean, that was just terrible. I feel like if he could have played out that season, that would have been his ticket, and he'd had his pick between 5 or 6 starting jobs the next year. I think he was 7 touchdowns and no picks or something, started off the year. But it's a shame that had to happen. But yeah, hope the best. I guess with all of Deshaun's issues and injuries and stuff, I'll have to look it back, but I just don't think the last 5 years, he's got a good percentage on games played. So when he was in New Orleans, it seemed like, Peyton wasn't missing games, and then after that, Dennis Allen just was not going to play him. I don't have a ton of problems with how Sean Payton handled the situation, but that BS with Dennis Allen last year was a joke. Anybody that was watching that thing knew that that was their chance to win was Jameis, and they refused to give it to him. But I digress.
Hey, Jen, good to see you. Nice to have you in the chat. George is talking you up as being the brains of the operation. So we know that he's at least telling the truth tonight. So it's good to know. It is good to know. And if we can carve out some time, this can pretty much happen anytime. But I'm thinking of 2 great live streams. One, like I mentioned a couple of weeks ago, the whole Jimbo Fisher from 2013-14 to the demise and into Willie Taggart and how that went down with Jimbo Fisher, because I would love to hear the insight on that, because there's a lot of great stories and dirt involving that whole thing and blame to pass around on both sides. And then the other one would be a Mount Rushmore to get together on. Maybe we go position by position, and then we break it down. We get everybody in the chat to throw out their candidates, and we do a Mount Rushmore Florida State. That would be fun.
I love it. There's plenty of guys to choose from, that's for dang sure. And that was especially coming off the kind of 2006 to 2009 Tebow years. It was 2010 through 2017 was a hell of a ride with old Jimbo. It's one of those things. I bet it's kind of like how Florida people feel about Urban Meyer at this point. It's like we got the championships, all the dirty stuff. It is what it is.
I think Jimbo. Well, one, I was ready for Jimbo to go until 2012. I was like, hey man, y'all got rid of the old man. The old man could have done this. As far as losing and not winning ACCs, but he turned it around. There's a lot of redeeming qualities. Things happen. It's one of the things that I think people get lost in sports. You lose the humanity of just in general, entertainment and all of that stuff. Jimbo went through a major life-changing moment, and we all got to see it kind of live, and that's very embarrassing. Divorce happens, cheating happens, infidelity happens. Nobody wants it to be painted, and you have to deal with it. And Tallahassee ain't the biggest town in the world, so like everywhere you go, you kind of hear it. You're reminded of it. In Tallahassee. There was Mayor Marks, but Mayor Marks wasn't the most known person in Tallahassee. Jimbo Fisher was the head football coach at Florida State, is the most well-known person with a teenage son that was there, with another son that's going through a fatal or not a fatal, because he's doing very well. I believe he got a scholarship somewhere to kick. I think it's to Sanford, if I remember correctly. But you had Ethan that was sick. Those are on top of being in a pressure cooker and things going downhill. And I think had he just left, it just said, I have 75 million reasons why I'm leaving Florida State. Because again, at the time, 7.5 million. It's just, and that's why. Oh God, I don't know if you guys saw the Nick Saban thing is so. It bothers me to my core, and I like Nick Saban more now. But like, $7.5 million was a lot of money to give a guy with one natty. But we knew we couldn't match that. So go on, be blessed, do that. But the way he left by making it just see, and he told some truths on the way out. But I think that's what made it hard for people to have to go and recover. And I think Coach Norvell winning an ACC championship, having us in the college football playoff discussion, even though we got snubbed, he keeps winning. I think it'll be a good opportunity for Jimbo to come back. It's easy to accept your ex when your life is great and their life isn't. But like when he's over there at Texas A&M and he looks like he's flourishing and they keep giving him more money, like that would have never. It's just like the same thing with Urban. Florida fans are liking Urban a little bit more now that he, failed with the Jags.
Mm-hmm.
And they're probably more welcome to have him back. But I think Jimbo was cool. Tag, even though I saw Tag at the combine, that man is well rested. And skin's good, teeth white, having a great time in the NFL, just getting paid. Most useless position coach on the field is a running backs coach. So like, and they, especially when you have Lamar Jackson. I mean, nobody do we really care who the Ravens running back is when we all know it's really Lamar Jackson? Even though he's a good quarterback too, but we know he's going to run when he wants to. So those are the fun things about what's going down with that.
James, if we had time tonight, but let's put that on the back burner, maybe for next week, the Nick Saban comments, because I want to hear from you. I think we traded a couple posts on Twitter. I think we're on the same page when it comes to that, but I'm sure there's a lot to dive into there. So I'm good for saving that conversation because I want to let that thing breathe and give it enough time.
Yeah, I'm interested to see, where else it goes. I was told there's been like 3 different not committee, but discussions. And I talked about it on my show today. It was just, I was like, it's interesting. Very interesting.